Good afternoon. This meeting of the Mount San Jacinto Community College District will come to order. It is 4 p.m. on Thursday, June 26, 2025. We're meeting at the Temecula campus today, as we usually do. We'll move on to item 1.2, Pledge of Allegiance. If you could please stand. Dr. Schultz, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. Join me by saluting our great flag. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I was thinking Dr. Schultz doesn't get to do that too often. It's his turn. Item 1.3, roll call.
Trustee Ashley.
Present.
Trustee Carpenter. Here. Trustee Corona.
Present.
Trustee Smith.
Present.
Trustee Silva.
Here.
Academic Senate John Torres.
Present.
Classified Senate Ronnie Amos.
Present.
Student Government Association Alina Baca. Student Trustee Claudia Waluko.
Present.
Thank you. Item 1.4, approval of minutes, regular meeting of June 12th, 2025. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Student trustee, please vote.
Aye.
Trustees, please vote.
Aye.
Item 1.5, revision, adoption, ordering of agenda. Do we have a motion? Yes, I have. Okay. Do we have a motion?
Chair Ashley, I move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? And there is some, and that is we have modified item 7.8. We've slightly revised it to correct the spelling of a name. So there was a misspelling. Other than that, there's no other discussion. Student trustee, please vote.
Aye.
Trustees vote.
Aye.
Item 2.1, public comment guidelines limited to closed session items. There are none. So at this time, we will adjourn to closed session. We will, in closed session, be working on item 3.2, conference with labor negotiators, CSCA. 3.3, conference with legal counsel, potential litigation. And item 3.4, reconvene to, and then we'll reconvene. So with that, we will adjourn to closed session. And a reminder, we don't wait till 5 p.m. to go to the regular meeting. We will kick in as soon as we're done with closed session. Good afternoon again. We're reconvening from closed session. We have no items to report out. So with that, we're going to move to item 4.1, public comment guidelines for agenda items that are on today's agenda. And I don't believe we have any, or else I would have been notified already by Jackie. So we will move on then to item 5.1, reports, board president and trustees. And we will start at the end with Trustee Smith and move our way over. Trustee Smith.
Keep it brief, but I do want to acknowledge the passing of an icon in the San Jacinto Valley. We lost Larry Miner this week, and if you look him up, everybody say, well, he was just into motorsports, but that's not so. He was a huge supporter for Valleywide. There's a lot that Valleywide has. It's because of his drive, but he also did a lot for young people, and that stuff you're not going to find on the internet or Google or anywhere else, but there's a lot of things that I personally know he did, and losing somebody like that's a big deal. The other thing I just want to remind everybody is not to get caught up watching the news and all the things. We still live in a great place, and we just have to think positive and move forward. That's it.
Thank you, Trustee Smith. Let's move on to Trustee Corona.
On June 23rd, I had the pleasure of joining the Paris Chamber of Commerce and touring the beautiful Menifee MSJC campus, and thanks to the guidance of Jackie Morrison. It was a fantastic experience. To the students currently taking summer school, good luck. To those working during the summer, stay strong, keep grinding. As for me, I'm an educator. I teach history at the high school level, and I had the privilege to actually have the summer off. I'm using this time to recuperate, to reset, and rebuild myself. To students on waiting lists who didn't get the classes they needed, I feel you. I was in the same boat. Don't give up. Keep pushing. Keep trying. Now, I want to acknowledge some difficult but important realities. There's a growing conversation about ICE raids here in California and fears of racial profiling. For the undocumented communities, those living in the shadows, unsure about their future, I wish I could promise that things will get better, but I cannot. Some of our neighbors have lived here for 20 or 30 years. Many have spent decades trying to legalize their status. It is the opinion of many that the immigration system has been and currently is broken. I hope better days are ahead. Also want to remind everyone about the Regional Chamber of Commerce event here at our MSJC Temecula campus. And lastly, happy 4th of July or happy Independence Day. And with that, I yield. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Corona. Trustee Silva.
I have no report. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Silva. Trustee Carpenter.
Thank you. I have no report. Have a wonderful summer.
Thank you, Trustee Carpenter. For my report, I'd just like to say I hope everyone can regenerate over the summer, even if you're teaching summer school. Still not like regular full-time during the regular year. Hope everyone recharges. That's my report for today. And with that, I will pass it over to Trustee Waluko, Student Trustee Waluko.
Thank you so much. I do apologize for my tardiness coming back from the closed session. Sorry. For my report, just briefly, SGA did hold a summer activity or summer event for our summer students, which was the first one that we've done in quite a while. And it was a massive success. We actually had, I want to say, over 150 attendees to watch a movie on the lawn at the Menifee campus. We're hoping that this is kind of a sign that it will be a very interactive year moving forward. We are also gearing up to participate in the first of our open houses, which will happen tomorrow here at Temecula campus. SGA should have a table as well as 4 to 5 of the clubs. And then we will have more clubs participating in the Menifee and San Jacinto campus open houses as well. And finally, I just wanted to give a warm welcome to our new SGA president, Alina Baca, who is sitting right over there. I convinced her to come to the meeting today just to kind of see what it is. And so welcome, Alina. I look forward to working with you for the rest of the year. And that concludes my report. Oh, and happy July, happy 4th of July and a break, have a happy break. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to the superintendent and cabinet. reports.
I'll yield to cabinet first.
I do have something. So the ACCJC met last week, and we actually ran into our liaison officer this week as 4 of us participated in a training on student focus groups. And a little birdie told me that we should expect good news in the next few weeks. And so we should be receiving our action letter shortly. And as soon as we do, we will be sure to notify the Board of Trustees and also share it publicly on our website, but we will be doing a formal presentation in August on that update.
And I might have the cutest report. So we've come through just wait for it. We've just come through the graduation season, but we do have one more group of graduates that I want to highlight. Our Child Development and Education Center held a pre-K graduation for 38 graduates of our preschool program, essentially. So if you get a chance to peruse the website a bit, super cute pictures. And I'm very proud of the work that Kendra Woodcock is doing, our interim director of that program, doing great work over there. So just wanted to share that bit of news.
Too cute.
Sure to press the button. I didn't tell you that.
They told me, thank you. Well, I don't have an official report. I want to actually extend my thank yous to the MSJC community for a very warm welcome thus far. Having worked in community colleges for the past 15 years, I truly consider it a privilege to now be part of a stable team and environment. And I'm thankful for the opportunity to support the good work that the institution is doing and to continue to help it grow and achieve the success that's needed. So thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to continuing to work with the team.
So are we.
Yeah.
Welcome.
And in the theme of brevity, the only thing that I have to follow up on is the actual scholarship reception dates that I announced we would be doing. You'll be getting these again, but just so you know, on Monday, November 17th at 10 a.m., we will be doing the scholarship reception with the foundation at the Temecula campus here. And then on Thursday, December 4th at 10 a.m. at the San Jacinto campus. So it's good to be starting to have in-person events again, and our schedule is filling out with a lot more that we will be getting to you as well.
Thank you, President Schultz. We'll now move on to our brand new Student Government Association report. The floor is yours, Alina. What is your last name again? Baca? Gotcha. I can't see it from here, sorry. Oh, well, I kind of can.
Hello. Hi. I just wanted to come and introduce myself before my term officially starts. And I'm so excited to be here. And I'm really excited to get to know each and every one of you and be part of this, process. So thank you so much.
Thank you for coming during your summer. 5.5 Classified Senate Report. Mr. Armas.
Thank you. Good afternoon, evening, everyone. First, I want to say thank you, Trustee Corona, for continuing to echo these concerns. What's happening now in the world is not a 1 month, 1 meeting issue. There's a lot going on, and our students are unfortunately at the forefront of what is happening in the world. Being that our students and that we are a Hispanic serving institution, a large population of our students, of course, Latino, Hispanic, Chicano. And so I do believe it is important that we continue to echo their concerns and let them know that we are here for them, that we acknowledge what is happening in the world, and that we acknowledge their concerns, and that MSJC will continue to be a safe place for them to attend, to continue their hopes and dreams, again, according to our mission statement, that's what we are here to do. That being said, congratulations and welcome, Alina. Thank you, Claudia, again, for your leadership, and I've seen you definitely grow, and so super stoked to see you here. And let's just please keep putting in this effort because it's not just our students, it's also many of our classified staff. We in Southern California, have so much to be thankful for, and our communities are a big part of that, a huge part of that. And these communities and families are being torn apart, and it's creating dissidence, it's creating division. And I think we here as educators, as part of this system of hope, it matters. It matters that we acknowledge it consistently and that the students know that we aren't blind to what is happening in the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 5.6, Academic Senate Report, John Torres.
Actually, I really don't have anything to report today.
Okay, thank you. No complaints. Consent calendar, item 6.1. Do we have a motion to approve?
I will make that motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Student trustee, please vote.
Aye.
Trustees, please vote.
Aye.
Aye. I'm going to move on now to item 9.1, open agenda. Under Superintendent President, 9.1, it's approve, authorize signatures and authority. We're recommending that the Board of Trustees authorize Roger Schultz, Michael Beckham, Rihanna Leach, and Stacy Kimbrough to sign orders drawn on the funds of the school district and notice of employment of notices of employment and Diana Galindo to sign notices of employment in accordance with Ed Code sections 85-232 and 85-233. Additionally, Roger Schultz and Michael Beckham be authorized to undertake certain functions identified in Title 14 of the California Code of Regulations. Do we have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, student trustee, please vote.
Aye.
Thank you. Trustees, please vote.
Aye.
Aye. Item 10.1, comments of individual groups, delegations limited to non-agenda items. Do we have any? There are none, so we will now move on to our information agenda. Item 11.1, Measure AA, Independent Citizens Oversight Committee Annual Report. And I believe this is just a report for us to study, but there's no action to be taken on this. So that's it. Item 11.2, Student Center Survey Update. Samantha Cardenas, former student trustee and MSJC alumna, will present the data collected from the student survey, both in person and online, regarding student centers. Sam, the floor is yours. I'm so glad you're still here. Not trying to get rid of you. I think the mic's off.
Is this the right side?
Yeah.
Okay, good afternoon, board. I am back. And I decided to come with you all today with, long and behold, the Student Center results presentation. Yes, it's been a hot minute. Yes, a lot of time has passed. But the information is so important and I still want to be able to share it with you all today. So the Student Survey Center, I can read it here. So our Student Center listening sessions, the purpose of the survey was to directly involve students in designing their, why is there feedback? Is it good? Okay.
We're not hearing the feedback the way you are, so
I
you're
hear
okay.
feedback, so it sounds like it's coming back.
You can plug your ears while you talk, that helps.
So it was to directly involve students in designing their future space through the in-person and online approach. So we asked students to select their preferred types of spaces, activities, and overall design preferences for the student center. and with the ultimate goal of creating a space that is welcoming, engaging, and supportive of their academic and social success. So as you could see, there was 3 separate days that we decided to do these survey listening sessions. I went to every single campus at specific times, even stayed there before and after the times, in order to try to connect with the students and try to see what information we can get directly from students that are on our campuses. So why this matters is because this project is rooted in a simple but powerful idea. When students are invited to shape their environment, they feel seen, valued, and invested. So the input gathered reflects a real desire for spaces that support not just academics, but connection, well-being, and what we need the most, community. So by centering student voices in this process, we're not only designing a building or a space, we're cultivating a sense of belonging that can strengthen engagement between all of our campuses. So how our data works. So I had 2 different types of data that I managed to receive. One of them was in person through sheets of paper that I had passed around, and some online. But the way that the in-person sessions worked is this piece of paper right here. So we asked them to pick like 5 options per category. It goes along the line of preferred physical spaces, desired events and activities, design preferences for the social spaces, and then open-ended suggestions to see what other information they could add onto it. So there's going to be a whole lot of just graphs and information and numbers. So this will go by very quickly, but it does reflect a lot between all 3 campuses. So starting off with the Menifee campus, we had asked them first, what activities or events would you like to see hosted within these new centers? We had the questions with 9 options. They had the choice of 5 to see what priorities they would look towards, not only for student government, but for the other programs to see what students would want to see. So we decided between movie nights, maybe a space just for individual events, live music or performances, art shows, career fairs, and student club and organization meetings, meaning that it would be a space for clubs and SGA to have their meetings at. So then they have a designated spot near the students in order to have that. And obviously by the data, they were closer to the movie nights because who doesn't love to see movies? But live music and performances, art shows, career fairs down the line, the meeting rooms, which makes more sense because we have less clubs than actual students, culture events, and the event room. So seeing from this, again, this is just numbers that we're seeing in person from the students directly to see what things they're going to want to see the most. And it's going to help really bring an idea and a vision to how we could utilize these spaces. So the next question was, what type of spaces do you want to see in the student center? So this was closer to what things do you want to have the space utilized for. So we had quiet study rooms, group study rooms, social lounges, outdoor spaces, vending machines, a game area, and a performance space. Oh, and event rooms. And with the numbers, you could see that the game area definitely had the most numbers because we were initially bringing in the idea that we can bring in pool tables or any sort of activities like games or like maybe a console for students to be able to interact and have game nights. And that was the original, initial idea. So that encouraged students to really go closer to the game area. Going down the line, excuse me. Going down the line, it goes from game area, social lounges, the group study rooms. We were having a high demand of students feel like they don't have enough spaces or rooms for them to study, and quiet spaces. So the LRC and places like that, we do have them, but they're expressing that we're not having enough. Quiet study rooms, outdoor spaces was actually in demand as well. We'll get a little bit further throughout the data. It explains a little bit more like what they mean by that. The vending machines was a demand, the event room, and the performance space. So by performance space, we initially mean like some sort of performance stage for either dance or live performances. We do have a lot of talented students on our campus. So we have students that want to be able to present that in front of their peers. So we had, oh, thank you. We had live performances not too long ago, a couple months ago, and a lot of students came up and we realized we have singers, we have people who could play the guitar, we have people who could play instruments, and they want to be able to use that properly. And if we have a space for them, then there's a place for them to really present that to not only their students, but a little space for them to even enjoy. The next question was, how do you feel about the design of social spaces in the student center? So this was a question that revolved around, how do you want the environment of these type of social spaces? So we mentioned wanting a flexible space that can be adapted for different activities, meaning it could have a bunch of different uses, a bunch of different areas, which it is important. Or being more specific with, we want it to be more quiet, more relaxing, just for either studying or just hanging out, or maybe even a more open and energetic area for large group activities and events. So they were demanding either places for more activities and events, because at the end of the day, we're trying to find a demographic with what type of students we're looking for. So students that either involve themselves within the school, or those who like preferring like more quiet spaces, places for them to hang out. And lastly, we had the extra suggestions. So the way that I really gathered this was they were asked to either put in a sentence or something that they thought would reflect these spaces. So a lot of them were asking for a performance stage on the Menifee campus. Again, this is separated by campus. Either a performance stage, study rooms. They were requesting some sort of like whiteboard or community boards for them to have like posters put up or like their events. So then every type of student could see that. Meeting rooms, game center, snack bar, projector, a basketball court. We realized we don't have a lot of those between the campuses. Again, compiling data. Storage spaces with lockers, tech spaces, a water bottle fill station, an outdoor center, and it's not really exemplified here, but napping spots. More places for naps. Definitely a big demand for either the napping pods or some space for students to really take a nap, because we do need rest. We do need some sort of space for something like that. It shows a little bit more in the other campuses for sure, but this was the Menifee campus just to begin with. So we can go through the rest of it a lot quicker now that we have like a background of what's happening here. So now that we're going to SJ, this was one of the ones with the least amount of responses. It was very difficult to get these pieces of data because I was literally running around all of these campuses trying to like gather students. Like there's so many different rooms, there's so many different places, the library, the LRC, the cafe. I was running. And in order to get all of it, I managed to get a hefty amount, but it mostly based in Menifee just because we noticed a lot more students showing up in Menifee. SJ was second, and Temecula was the least amount of students that were really like flying around the campus. It might have just been the day, might have just been the time, but it really kind of shows the like levels of walking we have around during like certain times in certain campuses. So with SJ, again, running around, least amount of data, second least amount of data. They had a higher demand for the career fairs, actually, funny enough. They wanted more spaces to have either more resources or some sort of way to either get jobs or places on campus to get jobs, even like spaces like around town, so then they can go and find places that like attach to them. Second up was down the line. Live music performances, again, we have a lot of talented students. A lot of them really want to exemplify that like talent. So they're really requesting spaces like a stage. We have the movie nights, cultural nights, or cultural events, art shows, fitness classes, and study breaks with social events. The spaces that they were looking for in the SJ was closer to, I might have flipped those. Okay. Okay, that's actually terrible. Okay, I have the data linked onto the actual presentation itself. So you could find the actual numbers there. I'm so sorry, I did not know that was supposed to happen. Let's see, what type of spaces? I think, oh, no, that's correct. I'm so sorry. So this is the spaces. So the quiet study rooms, group study rooms, blah, blah, blah. The most in demand was, again, the game area. We are looking for students that want to be able to engage with either consoles, video games, blah, blah, blah. We have group study rooms, quiet study rooms, social lounges, outdoor spaces, then further down the line, event rooms, performance spaces, and vending machines. The SJ wanted to get closer to more adaptable spaces. I feel like this is really the middle ground, which makes it really a lot easier to visualize what we can do for this space, because it could range between so many different things that we could go towards. And then close second in line was quiet or relaxing spaces. For SJ campus, we do realize that there's not a lot of room for students to hang out or generally study or have a place to be between classes. I feel like this area is the most in demand, and I think that we should be able to provide students more space on that campus. Although the data isn't reflecting of it here from personal experience from someone who walks around there so many times, we need more spaces there, and it's much needed that we need this space. And napping pods, highest in demand here. Again, more spaces for students to be around. They want to be able to nap. They do know napping pods exist. We want napping pods. We have closer to outside space. I feel like SJ definitely has a lot more open space than a lot of the other campuses. So I feel like that kind of reflects what's happening here. They're already used to what they have. They want more of it. Just more outside spaces, so maybe more seating, more areas for shade. It gets really hot. A place for outside. Game event space, study rooms, tech outlets, student worker jobs. They were looking for an opportunity to get a student worker job within these spaces, which I feel like is a great idea. Because if we're having these spaces and much more room and we're worrying about who's going to take care of everything, who's going to watch over the things, get a student to do it. Get a student to work there, more opportunities for students to work. Snack stations, community boards, and recycling bins, which I am aware that we are working on, but again, this is what they're asking for. And lastly, Temecula. So this was definitely the least amount of data. This one was a lot more difficult because I had to go through flights of stairs to go catch everybody. Going outside was not as bad because every once in a while you like catch a random person, they're hanging out outside. That was great and all, but going upstairs, I refused to go to the elevator, so I was literally jumping up and down. So if we're going here, the highest amount was the live music or performances. Again, they're really looking for places to exemplify their talent, or maybe even just sit around and be able to enjoy someone else's talent. Second in line is going to be our art shows and exhibitions. We do have a lot of talented artists around here, regardless of what type of medium. A lot of spaces could be utilized with either some sort of podium, some sort of like window for them to be able to like show off their art. In SJ campus, the art building has a lot of like windows where they just show off what their student is working on that semester. And I feel like that could totally be just placed wherever on campus, because it shows that our students utilize our art programs. And, you know, when you're doing so much work within those pieces of art, you want to be able to show it off. Second in line, third in line, movie nights. Then we have workshops and skill building events, study breaks or social events, fitness classes, and cultural events last on the line. So the type of spaces that they're looking for within this area is, again, a social lounge. They're demanding more of a place that they could be encouraged to be social around, and this can encourage the community that we're looking for between the students and the campus. They obviously really want this space if they're in high demand for just having a social area, a place for them to really hang out. And that could be encouraged with the second in line, the game area. Third in line, the quiet study rooms, which I still think still could be like either sectored off, regardless of whether or not we're trying to implement all of these different spaces. This is still a great way to visualize what other things we could add on besides the student center. Like they want more study rooms. I don't think we need to worry about it being directly in the student center, but we could add more on the outside. Let's see. The performance space, the event room, and the group study rooms and outdoor spaces. Again, I feel like this one has a pretty decent yard. I feel like there's enough room on there. So it's one of the like lowest like ones on this graph right here. and the design of their spaces, they're really in high demand for just a lot of adaptability. They want to be able to take advantage of this space. And then next in line is closer to a quiet individual time, which again makes sense to the campus. I feel like this place is a lot more quiet, a lot more closer, like closed off. You can go into a random hallway, get lost, and like find some way to study there. And it's definitely closer to what they already have. But if we want to be able to encourage a lot of students to have that community, it's going to be a lot easier to have an actual social space like, hey, come here, you can be loud. And the extra suggestions for this one was, again, study rooms, which is kind of funny because I feel like you could literally go anywhere in here and you can just make up a study room. But again, data. The social spaces and high demand snack stations, you can't go wrong with a snack. A lot of students get encouraged with just a platter with cookies or some sort of snack. You could tell them like, hey, come over here. So any sort of like food will definitely be a high encouraged thing. Performance stages, student worker positions, again, comes up. I feel like this would be a great opportunity to create jobs. The community board, the sitting areas, they were demanding comfier chairs. That was definitely what I was looking at when we were looking at this. Club spaces, big studying tables, a space just for events. This was something that I added on just last second. Although it's completely detached, we do not have a makerspace on this campus, and some students would probably like to see an idea of getting that one on this campus because it is only on SJ and on Menifee. So just the food for thought. And once again, quiet spaces. So that was just the in-person one. This will be quick. This is only one. It's a lot shorter. We got a good amount of responses from this one, but it definitely reflects a lot easier with online. We went to an online approach with the same questions. Honestly, a lot of them were either students that don't show up on campus but still want to add on their input on what they would want to see, or students that don't come as regularly but would rather see these type of things. So same questions, same type of data. Let's just go through this real quick. So what they want to see with the type of spaces in the student center is closer to quiet study rooms. Again, this is probably the most like confusing data out of the most because I feel like we can't really like tackle which campus that they're coming from within this part of the data. But nonetheless, still more quiet study rooms. They are requesting a lot of study rooms. Group study rooms, social lounges, outdoor spaces, vending machines, game area. I don't know why that's blank, and an event room. The activities and events they would want to see. Biggest one by 0.2% is movie nights, live music and performances, career fairs, student club and organization meetings, study breaks or social events, fitness classes, wellness programs, workshops, skill building events, art shows, exhibitions. So this one I had to put on the side because it was kind of really hard to see, but they wanted to have a space that was more adaptable. Once again, I feel like this was definitely the biggest response we've gotten off is that we should be able to adapt it to different activities, different spaces, different students, because not everyone's going to be like energetic or lively, or not everyone's want to be quiet or like really like closed off, you know what I mean? So being able to have both would definitely be the best of both worlds. And the extra suggestions, I just got like one out of each of these, but it's accessible internet, club spaces, music, student practice areas. So it's kind of cut off there, but students were actually requesting either like people who do instruments or like students that sing, they don't have an area to practice those type of things. Although this, again, it might be separated, it's still food for thought. Students would benefit off of spaces, talented students that need to be able to practice their art to have a space like that. And having a secluded space for students that are either in bands, students that sing, like students who do, I think music theory applies, would like a space of their own to really be able to practice that. So again, study rooms, social spaces, quiet spaces, sitting area, and child spaces. Again, food for thought. We still have adult learners. We still have parents. We have students who want to be able to take advantage of these spaces, but they're parents. Although this is a really lengthy conversation, I know it's definitely just a weird conversation, but students need to be able to have places for their child between all three campuses and not just SJ. So again, food for thought. We're getting as much information as we can between these students. I really just want to be able to use that voice that they were able to take advantage of, because these are either students that have to stay at home or weren't really able to make it to the other surveys, but want to be able to use their voice. So this is the end of the data. Definitely yapped a lot of interesting information. This would be very useful for whatever you guys are trying to visualize for the next plan. You have next student trustee. I really hope that she continues to use these ideas and these type of information, because these students are screaming for these type of spaces. Whether or not it's not shown between this screen and you, I see it face front. I see the students that want these spaces, that need these spaces, that crave these spaces. And that's all from me. Any questions?
I don't really have a question. I'll make a comment. Right now, we don't really have an enrollment problem, but we do have a getting students back to campuses problem. And thank you for all the work you did to put this together, because it just reminds me of all the different reasons why students would want to come back to campus besides just having face-to-face instruction. Just the socialization needs are huge in our community. The data is out there. It hits you when you read magazines. You're on you hear something from the news. And so anything we can do, I even like the nap idea, because, you have a class and you have 2 hours and you're just exhausted. You wish you could conk out without being bothered. I kind of like that idea myself.
Yeah,
I was wondering if Dr. Brown has ever tested the acoustics for music on our outdoor area here. Are they okay, or they echo? Yeah, I think we need more music. More music. Thank you so much. Does anyone else have a question or comment?
I have a question. Do you happen to have the numbers of how many responses you got from each campus as well as online?
I do. So overall, it was a little less than 200 for the in-person ones. I do have it all in a spreadsheet. It's very, very it's not messy, but a lot of data happening at once. I have all the information. I would provide it to all Jackie for you guys to send back to you. The online one, I'm not sure what the numbers were. I completely forgot, unless you do know the numbers for the online survey. Yeah, we don't know right now, but a good amount. I feel like this maybe won't reflect 100% our entire student body, but this reflects a part of our student body. And I think that's more than enough.
Question, have you had a chance to visit any of the other campuses or hear from some of the other students from the other colleges of what spaces they have that we don't, that you really, really recommend we do have?
So yes, I do. I have a lot of connections with other colleges. One in RCC, 100%. They take pride in their spaces. I have connections with their current student trustee, Gabriel Grapes. They'd have spaces not just for their students, but for different programs. They have a place called La Casa, which is meant for Hispanic students to take advantage of. They 100% take pride in those type of spaces. Another good one could probably be funny, Mount Sac. They do have a couple of spaces that you guys could check out there. I do have connections with other trustees. I could 100% give it to current trustee Maluko from other colleges. But again, great question. It's important to take advantage of the other schools that already have this implemented.
So Sam, we do have the other data online, and there were about 446 respondents to the survey. The survey was sent out obviously online to all of our students. And we also incorporated several other elements into this survey. So it didn't include just Sam's Student Center survey, but it also included data on our LGBTQ population questionnaire, and also questions related to our Eagles Landing, which is the basic needs. So there were a lot of different questions incorporated in this, but at one point there were 446 respondents. There may not have been those responses all throughout the entire survey because everything was optional. But at one point that was the number.
Have we had these surveys before?
Yes, so we do distribute surveys on a regular basis, particularly for basic needs. And there is an intention to do some additional surveys in the fall term for first-time students so that we get a gauge of the services that they are requesting during their academic journey with us.
And was there more responses this go around than other years? I
So
mean,
this was a
including
totally
COVID.
separate survey, so I would have to look at that. We've not combined them the way we did for this one.
Good job, Sam.
Thank you.
Great job, Sam.
Thank you.
I was gonna say something else, but I don't know if it's appropriate. I don't know if it's relevant. But okay, I have a friend that went to Coachella, okay?
Okay.
And Coachella is a festival for hundreds of thousands of people or tens of thousands of people, and they're there for several days. But one thing that stood out is all the different spaces they had. They had spaces, like you said, they have game rooms, art rooms, health spaces. They have spaces to see counselors. They have a snack station, nap station, kind of like a maker space station. And then they even have a station where you can like get all this art clothing, all this clothing, and you make your own clothing for going out for different days. But it just made it like, if you're tired, if you need a break, if you need a space to just kind of recuperate and make it more fun, I don't know, it was I enjoyed it. I mean, my friend enjoyed it, but these spaces are a great idea. Thank you.
Let's make this Coachella. Come on.
Thank you, Sam.
If I may add one more thing, I've said this before, but I just want to say it again. I saw firsthand how hard you worked to complete all of this. And I just want to say congratulations and thank you so much for all your work. I hope I can continue what you did last year, but this is amazing information. And I think in particular, it is interesting how there was a focus on the arts and performances aspect, which I hadn't really considered before, seeing the campuses. So I think that's an interesting point. But again, thank you so much. You did amazing work, really.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Really, you could clearly see what the students want. Let it go on.
Okay, Sam, I guess we'll see you in August.
Oh, I'm going to UCR. I'm gone.
Take
Thank
care.
you guys.
You're
Bye.
always welcome here. Moving on to 11.3, Student Success and Retention Update. Brandon Moore, Vice President of Institutional Effectiveness and Enrollment Management, will provide an overview of the district's student success and retention, and I hear there's some good data coming. But first, Brandon will be doling off a bottle of water.
I'm not done. Well, actually, spinning off of what Trustee Corona mentioned. So the bulk of my presentation is going to be on Burning Man MSJC. So we're going to talk about some of the benefits of having that festival here. So I'm going to give you the student success update for this year. So last year, we also did the same update. We're going to cover section count, success rates by different topics, withdrawal rates, same topics. And then we're going to compare some of the student majors, which I think I'm going to skip that part. So here's where we are when it comes to section counts. So because COVID was such a weird time, we've kind of eliminated that. So what we're actually comparing right now is the 2018-19 academic year to this current year, the 24-25. COVID, there was ups and downs, right? So we were doing really well, and then we hit COVID, and we kind of hit these weird little bumps. So the comparison, again, it's the 2018-19 year to the 24-25 year. We have 466 additional sections that we offered this last year. So you can see the numbers at the bottom of the comparison. We've also increased our fill rate to 88.9%. So that's a huge jump. You can see it was 84.8 before. So over a 4% jump in fill rate. So we're running much more efficient. But that's not the number that Roger wanted to show you. It's this one. This is the percentage of seats or classes that students are taking that they passed. 74.3%. 18-19, that number was 66.8%. Over the history of the college, we have averaged around 67% success rate. Last year, we were the first year we ever pierced 70%, and we didn't really make a big deal about it because we're like, maybe it's just an anomaly, and it was just a weird year. But it went even higher this year. So the fact that we're having almost 3/4 of our students pass every one of their classes or passing those classes, this is insane. We actually have to adjust our institutional set standards and our stretch goals for accreditation because this is above all of them. So we're going to have to go back and make some adjustments, which you'll get later this coming year, because they're not going to call it a stretch goal when we've already blown it out of the water. So this is a testament to what's going on in our classrooms here at MSJC. So I know Roger's always saying, you know, it's the greatest place to work. He's probably right. And he says, we're the greatest college that's ever existed. He might be right now, because this is crazy. I have not seen these results anywhere. This is something you would only see in a summer school session. Summer school always has high success rates because they're short, they're quick, you have all sorts of people coming in. To have this for an entire year is ridiculous. So the question is, did it bring everyone along? Great question. We're going to answer that. Not only did we see higher success rates with more sections, more seats, more students, they're not leaving their classes. So our withdrawal rate actually came down. The average withdrawal rate for the district, again, over the last 10 years, sits around 14%. We dropped to 10.1%, which means more students are getting into more classes and they're staying till the end of those classes, and they are passing them at a higher rate than they ever have. What? This is a stupid number right here. So seats, every time a student takes a class, that is 1 seat. If they sign up for 5 classes, that is 5 seats. We saw an increase of over 20,000 successful seats, not just enrolled, they enrolled and they passed compared to that 18-19 year. We're talking a 30% increase in successful seats. This is ridiculous. The number of students getting awards increased to over 374. You all saw that at graduation, right? We have record numbers of graduates. We have record numbers of transfers. Now, the transfer numbers will come in a little delayed because they have to actually get to their institution. So I'll bring those to you later in the fall when we start to see those roll in. But again, compared to the 18-19 year, that's ridiculous. So where did it happen? Well, here are these success rates in face-to-face. They went up 8.7% over that time frame. What happened in hybrid classes? They went up 7.3%. What about online? Up 6.9%. So the success rate was across the board, across the modalities. Again, not normal. So we've had a lot of discussion about how long should our classes be? When do students do well? Typically, students do okay in full-term classes, better in short-term early classes, and then they really struggle with late start short classes. No. Success rates went up in full-term classes 6.8%. You can see the numbers 68 to 75. The early start classes went from 60 to 70%. You saw almost a 10% increase there. Same thing for the late starts. Jeremy and I were laughing at these numbers earlier because we're like, this can't be right. The late starts are seeing a 73% success rate compared to the early start at a 70%. Both of those numbers are stupid high, but the fact that students are doing so well in the late start classes is a fantastic change we're seeing. Who's being successful? Well, this is the demographics. Now, all these groups are not the same size, right? So we have about 51% of our students this year were Hispanic students, and then it drops from there to the different groups. But if you look at the very top, African-American students, 60.6% success rate in 18-19. They've jumped over 8% in success rate up to 68.8. If you look at the Hispanic students right in the middle, 18-19, they were at 65.4%. They've jumped over 10% in their success rates over time, and they're up to 75.5, beating the overall average. So again, we are seeing numbers that are jumping like crazy, which is a testament to the work that the faculty are doing. When you talk about quality instruction, MSJC's got quality instruction. You want to be successful, you need to come to MSJC. Why? Because our faculty are doing a better job than I would argue most, if not all, colleges in the state. I'll be digging through some more data to see if there's anybody even close to this. But the fact that we are growing, we're adding sections, we're filling those sections up more. So each faculty member is serving more students on average, and those students are being successful and completing. It's ridiculous. I think we're going to be hard-pressed to find anybody doing better than we are right now. And it's not leaving groups behind. So these larger populations are actually coming along with us. Again, the largest groups are going to be Hispanic, African-American, and white non-Hispanic. Those are the largest groups, and they are all trending upwards, which is fantastic. Some of the other groups, you'll see more fluctuation because you're talking about less than 50 students in some of these. So there's just more natural variation happening in there. Another big measure is how long does it take you to complete your degree? One of the big metrics that the state uses is 150% of time. In other words, how many students are completing their program within 3 years? That number used to be 32% of our students would complete in 3 years. That number has jumped to 53%. So that's a 21% jump over that time frame, which means not only are you coming to MSJC, You're not here as long. You're rocking through your classes. You're passing your classes with all the support you're getting from faculty and staff, and you're getting out. We've also had a target of reducing our units to completion. We've actually reduced the average units at completion of your first award down by 11. That's saving you time and it's saving you money. Back in the day when we started really focusing on this, it was about a decade ago. That number of even the 65 was a huge improvement because we were at one point over 80 was the average number of units a student would graduate with. That's almost a year of extra school, let alone the actual time it takes you to complete those units. In my opinion, I actually think it's more important you look at the units that students are taking rather than the time. With the majority of our students having jobs and having other family obligations, they're not full-time. So to finish in 2 years is not possible if you're not full-time. So the real question is, are you getting out with the right number of units? And they are now. How long does it take you? Well, your life will sometimes dictate that because you've got to take more classes, take it slow. Maybe you're going 1 to 2. But this is crazy that many students, over half our students who are completing are doing it within the 150% or the 3 years. That's all.
Bravo.
I'll ask
Yeah.
you, I will ask you why later.
Well, like why they're performing
Because I
better?
think why is it so good
Sure.
is a big question.
Yep.
And I think that's, I don't know that I want to have a 20-minute conversation on it, but
we
can you give us,
I mean-
give me one why? Why?
Why
What do you
the
think is the
students-
number one reason for this success?
I don't think there is a number one reason. I think we've been working so hard over the last 10 years, focused on student success, that we've implemented a lot of things. Some of the things that I think are leading to this, when you look at the success rate specifically, you look at the faculty, the work the faculty are putting into improving their presentation in classes, to improve their style, to improve their techniques, to actually meet the generation of students that they're getting. Remember, we deal with a lot of turnover. Every 3 years, we see a 50% turnover in students, which means you are constantly getting a brand new group of students. Well, they've been doing all sorts of professional development to get better at teaching, at meeting students where they're at making sure those students are successful. When you look at the support staff in counseling, when you look at what's going on in the LRC in the library, you look at all the trainings that we've been doing as a district and the faculty are attending, you're improving everything about your teaching. Your pedagogy is getting better. You're learning the latest and the greatest. There are a lot of efforts outside with the ancillary services. When you talk about whether it's Lisa Campbell over in the Eagles Landing with the basic needs, making sure students have what they need to actually live and get away. The health centers, adding that to students' ability to be healthy and get through classes. I think what we're seeing is a culmination of all of the efforts that as a board you have been supporting, as a faculty they've been working hard to do. We've made a lot of adjustments with the scheduling. During the COVID time, everything went wild and crazy. We got away from district planning a little bit. The strategic plan wasn't an emphasis. The Chancellor's Office 2030 vision wasn't really an emphasis. We've gotten back to that. We've clamped down on the schedule and the offering of classes. Faculty and the departments have done a great job of adjusting back to this normalization, which is allowing students to move through classes seamlessly. But the quality of instruction just appears to be better. Our faculty are doing a great job because we were over 70% last year also. So to say it's a fluke, I don't think it is. Will it adjust a little bit? Well, sure, there's natural fluctuation that'll happen. But at 2 years in a row, over 70%, we've got quality instruction that's probably not comparable at any other district right now. To do this in light of the growth that we're seeing is even a bigger testament to the work the faculty are doing.
On the pathways as well, and I think the student-centered scheduling. You know, you were at a conference where you were taken to task by another college, like, oh, your scheduling's wrong. It's like, well, they're floundering, and we're having these results with thousands of students on the wait list.
Yeah, and when you look at it, we're getting students in, right? Students are registering, students are getting in, so that's great. We're setting up a schedule so students could complete their programs in a timely fashion. But ultimately, it comes down to the instruction happening in the classroom. If you don't have quality instruction, you don't have successful students. So I actually do think it's a culmination of all of the efforts that district has been putting in and the work of everybody over the last 10 years.
The quality of our campuses is better.
100%.
Like, we're retaining more students that used to leave.
That's right. The withdrawal rate being down. I think our campuses we're doing, and we have work to do. I'm not saying that we're perfect. We can always do better, but our campuses are more attractive. You've got these new buildings coming into place. It's changing the dynamic and the experience of the campus. I know that we just heard the presentation on some additional things that we can do to make sure students are coming. we actually have seen an increase in the use of a lot of the ancillary services, even by students taking purely online classes. They want to come to campus to study. They want to come to campus to experience some of that campus life, even if their schedule is all online. So they are taking advantage of the tutoring and those types of things.
See, I was just thinking if we were to take the show on the road to state conference and say, look at this, here's the problem. They all say, well, what did you do to make it happen? That's why I said why.
Yeah.
But it's great data. And I'm not sure what we would be telling the rest of the colleges to do.
That we're better than them.
Because we've
what
done,
we do, yeah.
what we've done,
Be like
is,
us.
we've done so much in so many areas that it's hard to pinpoint it.
Correct.
I think you're right when it says it's like a convergence of factors.
I
I know we have 4 new trustees, kind of
Yeah.
since they've been on, we've been going up.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the only one dragging us down in the past.
Trustee Smith, did you have a question?
I just said culture.
Oh, absolutely. I will. Look, I don't like to do this ever, let alone in a public setting like this. But I think a lot of it has to do with the steady leadership that Roger provides. We set a focus on student success. It's something that, and I know I'm looking over the like that's a constant conversation that the faculty are having, that the staff are having. How do we help students be successful from the moment they step foot on campus? That first interaction with the classified member at the desk, whether it's enrollment, whether it's financial aid, whether it's the help desk. How do we get them through and make them want to come here? All that seems to be paying off over the last couple of years. As we've come out of COVID and settled back into, I'll say, who we are, we've continued that trajectory and it's just gotten even better. So I think it's a testament to all the work that everybody's putting in at really every level, except
Great.
human resources, because she's new, so she doesn't get it.
Oh my gosh.
Any other
Get
questions?
used to this, Vice President Galindo. It's never ending.
She can take it. She can take it. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, and to your point, Trustee Ashley, as we were coming in, I think these numbers, Brandon and I hung back from a meeting the other day and I'm like, are you sure these things? I mean, I have utmost confidence in our team. He even admitted he had to double check them
Like, this
because
can't be right.
and again, this may not seem huge, but you know, we celebrate 1% increases. When you see numbers like this,
A 30%
it's
increase in successful
tremendous.
seats. Over 20,000 more classes were passed this year.
And I think, as I mentioned to you, as we walked in, we were saying the other day, we probably got to draw the attention of this to the Aspen group, because the winners, this is on par with that level of competition and actually supersedes likely. I mean, and that's the other thing. How do we sustain this? And I think we've got the culture, we've got the investment, and I think
And it
we've got
tells
the
us to stay
winning.
the course. Like the things that we've implemented, things that we're doing, we can't back off those things. Though those are what have gotten us to this stage. And I know that like accreditation is important. We need to have that checkbox so that we are seen as a legitimate college and all that stuff can happen. That's great. This is better. Because accreditation says, hey, you need to do these things. Yeah, but we don't know if they're going to work or not. Well, they're working. And that's evidenced by the outcomes. I don't know how else, what an easier way to measure it than our students getting what they came to do. Yeah, not only are they getting it, they're getting it quicker, they're getting it better, and they're reaching their goals and getting out. So again, we still have work to do. We can always improve. And I think that's all of our mentality, but that's pretty damn good.
And you know, success breeds success. So
Absolutely.
maybe we get on a positive feedback loop and just keep it going.
100%.
That's what I'd like to see.
Yep. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Just a
Oh,
quick comment.
yes, sir.
The amount of students that are obviously graduating and transferring as opposed to just transferring is huge.
Yes.
So they're actually walking out with a degree as opposed to, you know, they've hit a wall. Now they're just going to transfer to a 4-year institution. Yeah, that's
You're right. That's the biggest, right? Everybody left before, but now they're leaving after completing what they wanted. And that number, that 374, that was just students earning those degrees or certificates. That didn't even count the number of transfers, which again, we'll get later as everybody starts their journey at their universities.
Well, this doesn't even take to account any of the financial gains that they're getting from coming to a community college and the money that they're saving before they're going to a 4-year, and the amount of debt that they won't have to incur when they're at a 4-year university. Like, that's not even part of this conversation, but imagine to be able to quantify that.
Matters.
Yeah, the impact is huge to our community, to this area, the areas that you all represent. I mean, all of us live here. We're elevating the educational attainment of our area. We're elevating the workforce. We're really giving those skills and those jobs that, I mean, it's an incredible number. So.
just think where we will be once we have nap pods.
Oh, I'm all for, yes, we need those, my office. Oh, the last slides in the presentation that are going to be attached to there, it's just all the data. So if you want to see the actual tables, they're in here.
Got it. Thank you, Brandon Moore. 11.4, President's Honor List, Spring 2025. The Superintendent President recognizes each semester's outstanding scholars by publishing a list of and mailing a letter to and a certificate to those who have carried 12 or more units of work the previous semester and whose grade point average is 3.5 or higher in all courses attempted. The President's Honor Roll List for the Spring 2025 term reports 2,448 students who have achieved this distinction. Great job, students.
Yes.
And be sure to gaze at that list and look for all your friends and family.
And we will be also continuing the tradition of an in-person celebration on one of the campuses in the fall for this group because it is so outstanding. And Sam will just have to mail you whatever trinket since you're on the list. So congratulations.
Congratulations. Well, we move to 12.1, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, student trustee, please vote.
Aye.
Trustees, vote please.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 5:36 p.m.